Hello, my name is David Druskill. In this fairly brief video, I want to talk about the power of politeness, and more specifically, how politeness can make you more influential. On the screen right now, I put a citation in case you want to look up some of this research. And I want to begin this video with both an observation and an assertion. The observation is this: the world has become less civil, less polite. Look at the news, think about road rage, look at the behavior of our elected officials, and you see ample evidence that the world has become less civil, which goes back to the Greeks talking about being a good citizen, and less polite. The assertion I would make follows in that genuine politeness has greater power and influence because it is now more rare. So because fewer people are behaving in a polite way, those people who do behave in a genuinely polite fashion tend to be more influential. There are three elements to politeness: the words you use, the tone of voice you express, and your physical behavior. Now in this video, I'm going to talk about the words since I have two other videos that are specifically targeted to tone and physical behavior, the communication of interest and attention non-verbally. What I'll say is this: if either your tone or your physical behavior contradicts your words, then it is tone and physical behavior that will carry the message. So if I say, for example, "Nice to see you today," that tone and that physical behavior of shaking my head contradicts the expression. If by contrast I say, "Oh, nice to see you today," now I'll use a word here, congruent. My tone, my physical behavior, and my words all match up. So let me now focus on words. And I want to start with a central message. And this goes out really to almost everyone. I think a lot of people think it's restricted to the millennials or Gen Z, Gen X. I think it's very broad-based. Stop saying "no problem" in response to a thank you. Typically nowadays, if you say thank you to someone, very often, not always, but very often, the other person will say "no problem." Think about this for a moment. You had a chance to say "you're welcome," "I was happy to help," "it was a pleasure working with you." Instead, you present two negative words, "no" and "problem." So simply stop. And I'd also ask you to develop a vocabulary of polite language, of polite phrases. The reason for that is even a polite phrase like "you're welcome" can become tired if it's overused. So you want to develop a vocabulary. So here's some examples. So instead of saying, when you greet somebody, "hey," which is usually what you hear nowadays, you might say, "nice to see you today." Instead of saying "no problem," you might say, "you're welcome," "I was happy to help," "it was a pleasure working with you." Instead of saying "see you," you might say "see you soon." Now again, there's a level of formality here, and I would ask you not to confuse a little bit higher level of formality with being unfriendly. Especially if you combine tone and physical behavior, this vocabulary can make you very warm, but still a higher level of formality, a more thoughtful behavior. That's probably the best way to put it. A thoughtful use of politeness. Instead of "how you doing?" "how are you doing today?" or "what's happening with you today?" Instead of saying thanks, you might say "thank you very much," or "thank you for your help." Now this is a short video, it's focused on politeness. Increasing your politeness will increase your ability to be influential. It's not the only thing. Your listening skills, as I've talked about in other videos, your physical behavior, your paralinguistics, which includes tone, speed, pace, all of these factors go into the body of your communication skills. But focusing on politeness as a skill, and what makes it a skill is the fact that you can learn it, you can practice politeness, develop a vocabulary, and as you practice, you'll become more proficient, more effective. Here's three things you can do. I like to end all my videos with a call to action. One, build a small vocabulary, as I've said a couple of times now, to acknowledge thank you. So for example, you might say, "I was happy to help," "it was a pleasure," "I think we got a lot done today," "I enjoyed working with you." Do something very simple. This is something I've done any number of times. You're at the grocery store, somebody behind you has fewer items than you do. Let them go ahead of you and watch their reaction. To me, my experience, not uniform, but generally speaking, It's extraordinary how grateful people are for that simple act of politeness. Again, because politeness is rare, it's very powerful. Third, pay attention to the politeness behavior of others toward you and check out your own reaction. How do you feel when someone says, hey, no problem, versus you're welcome, I was happy to help. That's it. As with all my videos, I'd ask that you subscribe, check out the other videos. There's a lot more to come. Thank you.